The Midnight Tango, a short story from When the Bells Stop Ringing by Danny Balan. The heat in Buenos Aires on Christmas Eve was a physical weight. It pressed against the windows of the Casa de los Abuelos, turning the nursing home into a greenhouse of stale air and the scent of floor wax. Valeria sat in her wheelchair by the window, watching the heat shimmer off the pavement outside. Her hands, gnarled like the roots of an old umbu tree, rested on her lap. Once, these hands had been elegant, draped over the shoulders of the finest leads in San Telmo. Once, her feet, now swollen in orthopedic slippers, had moved with the precision of a switchblade, carving shapes into the wooden floors of the milongas. Now she was 82. She was a number on a chart. She was grandma to nurses who didn't know she had never had children, who didn't know she had birthed only art. The common room was decorated with limp tinsel and a plastic tree that listed to the left. The television was blaring a commercial for Pan Dulce. Valeria closed her eyes. Silence, she prayed. Just a moment of silence. "Do you need water, Doña Valeria?" It was Lucas, the night orderly. He was young, barely 20, with messy hair and a uniform that was always untucked. He was mopping the linoleum floor, moving the bucket with a rhythmic slosh-clack, slosh-clack. "I need a new pair of legs," Valeria snapped, "though without heat. But water will do." Lucas smiled. He liked her sharpness. It was better than the vacancy he saw in the other residents. He poured her a glass of water. As he turned back to his mop, he began to hum. It wasn't a conscious sound. It was a low, vibrating melody, barely audible over the television. But Valeria heard it. Her head snapped up. He wasn't humming Jingle Bells. He wasn't humming a pop song. He was humming the opening bars of El Día que me quieras, The Day You Love Me. Carlos Gardel, the anthem of longing. Valeria stared at him. "Stop," she demanded. Lucas froze, the mop hovering. "I'm sorry, is it annoying?" "Where did you learn that? That is not music for boys who wear sneakers." Lucas shrugged, looking a little embarrassed. My grandfather. He plays the bandoneón. He plays it every Christmas Eve." Valeria looked at the boy. Really looked at him. She saw the way he held his posture, even while mopping. "The bandoneón breathes," Valeria whispered, her eyes unfocusing, seeing a room from 50 years ago, thick with cigarette smoke and perfume. "Yes," Lucas said softly. "That's what he says." He looked at the radio on the counter. He walked over and turned the volume of the pop music down. He took his phone out of his pocket, tapped the screen, and set it on the table. The opening notes of the tango swelled into the room. The strings, the piano, and then the heavy, weeping gasp of the bandoneón. The air in the room changed. The smell of floor wax faded, replaced by the phantom scent of rose water and sweat. Lucas walked back to her. He didn't pick up the mop. He wiped his hands on his trousers. He stood tall, his chest lifting, his chin tilting down. He extended a hand. "Mademoiselle," he said, his voice dropping an octave, imitating the old codes of the dance hall. Valeria looked at his hand. Then she looked at her legs, useless and heavy under the blanket. "Don't mock me, boy. I cannot stand." "You don't need to stand to dance tango," Lucas said. "Tango is not in the feet, it is in the chest." He stepped closer. He didn't try to pull her up. Instead, he took her right hand in his left. He placed his right hand gently on her shoulder. He leaned in, creating the abrazo, the embrace, closing the space between them until their foreheads almost touched. He began to move. He didn't move her chair. He moved around her. He pivoted. His feet sliding across the linoleum in slow, deliberate ochos, he guided her upper body, swaying her gently left, then right, in perfect sync with the sobbing rhythm of the music. Valeria closed her eyes. She felt the tension in his frame, the lead and the follow. She pressed her hand against his palm, offering resistance, creating the tension that made the dance alive. For 3 minutes, she wasn't crippled. She was floating. She felt the ghost of the pivot, the snap of the head turn. She felt the passion of the music traveling from her hand to his, bypassing her broken body completely. Lucas spun, dipping her slightly in the chair, his eyes locked on hers with the intensity of a partner, not a nurse. He treated her not as fragile glass, but as a woman who knew the steps. When the song ended, he held the final pose, his breath steady, his eyes shining. He slowly released her hand. He stepped back and bowed, a sharp, respectful inclination of the head. Valeria opened her eyes. Her heart was racing, a feeling she hadn't felt in a decade. A tear leaked from the corner of her eye, tracing a path through the powder on her cheek. "You lead well," she whispered, "for a boy in sneakers." Lucas grinned, the spell breaking, returning to being a 20-year-old orderly. He picked up his mop. Valeria turned her face to the window. The heat was still there, the city was still loud, and she was still old, but inside her chest, the music was still playing. She tapped her finger on the armrest, 1, 2, 3, 4, and waited for the night to come.
A prayer for the fire that remains. Let us speak now to the rhythm that outlives the body. Let us speak to the feet that are still, but which remember every step of the dance. To the hands that are weathered like old roots, yet still crave the touch of another. To the hearts that beat inside chests grown frail, beating not just for survival, but for passion, for art, for the memory of a night when the air was thick with perfume and possibility. We are a world that worships the new, the strong, the straight spine. We look at the wheelchair and see an ending. We look at the wrinkled skin and assume the fire has gone out. Let us confess the cruel truth to one another. We dismiss the elderly as history books on a shelf. We preserve them. We keep them safe, but we do not open them. We forget that they were once the leads in the drama of life. We forget that the woman staring out the window was once the queen of the floor, that the man in the corner once broke hearts with a glance. We rob them of their present by refusing to honor their past. Let us ask for the vision to see the dancer inside the patient, to look past the swollen joints and the slow drift of age, and see the sharp, terrifying precision of the soul. To realize that desire does not age, that the need to be held, to be led, to be spun does not wither just because the muscles have failed. May we have the grace to offer the hand. Not the hand of the nurse checking a pulse, but the hand of the partner offering an embrace. The hand that says, I know who you are. I know what you can do. Let us learn the lesson of the midnight tango. The music does not stop just because the orchestra has gone home. It plays in the memory. It plays in the blood. And sometimes all it takes is one person willing to listen, one person willing to set aside the mop and take up the frame to turn a sterile room into a ballroom. So let us change the station. Let us play the song that hurts. Let us bow to the masters who are sitting in our midst disguised as the frail. Let us glide across the linoleum as if it were the finest wood, honoring the dignity of a spirit that refuses to sit still. May we find that when we hold the past in our arms, we are not holding a burden, we are holding a flame. The body may forget, the heart remembers the step. Let us dance.
When you first get into this story, what's the one image that really stays with you? For me, it wasn't actually the heat, even though that was it was the contrast.
The juxtaposition.
Yeah, exactly. The image of a body that's completely, restricted, sitting in this cheap plastic chair, but at the same time, it's just radiating this fierce, unextinguished spirit.
The Queen of the Milongas.
The Queen of the Milongas,
Yeah.
Exactly. This story, it's not just describing an event, it's really making a powerful argument about what identity and worth really mean.
It absolutely is. And that physical tension you mentioned, I think that's the engine for the whole piece.
Right.
We get this philosophical idea right from the start that dignity isn't stored in your muscles or, how well you can move your limbs. It's deep down in your memory, in the soul.
And that nursing home, the setting.
Oh, that sweltering, stale Buenos Aires nursing home isn't just a setting. I mean, it's a cage, right?
Yeah.
A cage built by time and the body's decline. But the story's whole mission, it seems, is to prove that even inside that cage, the art, the passion that defined a life, it's still there. It's vibrant, and it's demanding to be seen.
It sets up, I think, 3 really crucial insights that we need to explore. First, that the past really dictates the dignity of our present. Second, that we as a society, we often mistake just preserving someone, keeping them safe, for actually recognizing them, for seeing who they truly are.
That is such a key point.
And third, that great art like the Tango, it's less of a skill and more of an inherited flame that can just leap across generations. So let's start with that physical discomfort. The Casa de los Abuelos, the nursing home. The story immediately just plunges us into this oppressive atmosphere, and especially the heat. It's not just warm, it's described as a physical weight. What is the author doing by leaning so heavily on that one sensory detail?
Well, that phrase, physical weight, that's just a brilliant use of pathetic fallacy, isn't it?
Right.
The environment is actively mirroring and maybe even magnifying Valeria's internal state. She is literally being weighed down.
By the air itself.
By the air, by her circumstances, by her own body. And the air isn't just stale. The room is a greenhouse of stale air.
I love that image.
It's incredible because a greenhouse is supposed to cultivate life, But here, all it's cultivating is stagnation. And that heavy smell of institutional floor wax, it feels sealed off, completely isolating her from the living, breathing city she remembers.
And the attempts at celebration, they only seem to make it worse, to really underscore that feeling of stagnation.
Oh, absolutely.
This is all happening on Christmas Eve, the time we associate with light, with anticipation, with change, and yet, what do we get?
We get limp tinsel.
Limp tinsel and a plastic tree that listed to the left.
It's so sad. And then that blaring commercial for Pan Dolce, it's this cheap, aggressive commercial version of a holiday.
It's the total opposite of anything sacred or meaningful. The details feel intentionally pathetic almost.
They do. The decorations are drooping, the sound is just noise, and this whole lackluster, failing holiday vibe is so important because it creates a space that is just... It's ripe for some kind of sacred disruption. Everything about the place is noise and plastic and listlessness. And that's why Valeria's prayer for quiet.
Silence, she prayed. Just a moment of silence.
Yes. That's her soul just demanding a retreat from this banal reality that's trying to drown out her rich inner life.
And that external oppression, it brings us right to Valeria herself, the former queen. The story uses such stark, contrasting language to show this profound loss of identity she's going through.
It's heartbreaking.
Let's talk about the imagery around her hands and feet. How does that define her suffering for you?
Well, let's start with the hands. They were once elegant, right? Instruments of art and communication. Now they're gnarled like the roots of an old ombu tree.
Okay, we have to pause on that metaphor because it's so specific and powerful, especially for our listeners who might not know what an ombu is.
Right, it's not just any tree. It's often called a tree, but it's technically this huge herbaceous plant.
It dominates the landscape in the Argentine pampas.
Exactly, and the ombu is known for its immense, knotted, sprawling roots. It's not really known for grace. It's known for resilience, for deep age, for solitary strength. It's a landmark.
So to say her hands are gnarled.
Yes, twisted, rugged, full of knots like those roots. It suggests incredible age and resilience for sure, but it also suggests a loss of grace, a loss of function.
They're rooted. They're static.
Instead of fluid. The hands that once commanded a dance floor are now these immobile markers of time. She's still strong, like the ombu, but that strength is hidden now. It's static.
And we see that same painful contrast with her feet. The story says they once moved with the precision of a switchblade.
What a line.
Isn't it? Carving these intricate shapes on the floor. And now, they're swollen in orthopedic slippers.
That comparison precision of a switchblade is just phenomenal. I mean, a switchblade is sharp, it's swift, it's precise, and it's a little bit dangerous. It speaks to her mastery, her control, her ability to just cut through space and dominate the dance. She wasn't just moving her feet, she was executing art with this fierce sharpness.
And now it's just the language of constraint.
Exactly. An active dominant past versus a passive constrained present.
And the world around her just reflects that constraint right back. She's reduced to these labels. She's a number on a chart. She's grandma to these nurses who have no idea who she was.
And the text makes it so clear. She birthed only art.
Yeah.
When your entire life has been defined by the intense physical and emotional creation of the tango, and then that physical part is just gone, the loss of identity must feel like a complete erasure of self.
It has to be. And we need to remember the context of the milongas she dominated.
Oh, absolutely. These weren't just dance parties.
No. They were highly formalized, almost ritualistic social spaces, the traditional tango dance halls. In the milonga, Valeria wasn't just a dancer, she was a milonguera, a respected master.
There were codes of conduct, right? The
Yeah.
cabeceo, the way you asked for a dance with just a nod, there was this profound respect for skill.
So when she's reduced to just a number on a chart, her entire world, her royalty, is just invalidated.
Yeah, the misery of the present is so profound because it actively denies the vibrancy of her past.
So the whole narrative tension is built right there. How can a soul that was forged in the fire and intensity of the milonga possibly survive being just, relegated to a plastic chair surrounded by limp tinsel and commercials?
You're right. And that's what leads us back to her prayer for silence. The irony is she's desperate for silence so she can reconnect with her internal music. What she gets instead is this disruptive but ultimately restorative sound from her past.
Which brings us to Lucas.
Lucas.
Into this heavily constrained world steps Lucas, the night orderly. And he represents youth, the present. He's 20, messy hair, untucked uniform. He seems totally ordinary.
He does, almost symbolic of this generational gap that's forgotten the whole tango era.
But he's the necessary foil, isn't he? He's also the unexpected bridge.
He is, and his first action is so mundane. He's mopping the floor, adding to that institutional smell. But the author is so careful to show us that Lucas has this one key trait that separates him from everyone else.
Receptivity.
Receptivity. He's open.
And we see that immediately in their first interaction, when Valeria, just frustrated by her immobility, snaps that iconic line.
I need a new pair of legs, but water will do.
I love that line.
That's so good. And Lucas doesn't treat her like a difficult patient. He smiles.
He smiles because he appreciates her sharpness. He sees there's a genuine active mind under the surface. He contrasts her with the vacancy of the other residents. He sees her fire, even if he doesn't know where it comes from yet.
And that small moment of recognition, it's the first crack of light, isn't it? It is. It shows he's open to a real human connection, not just, transactional caregiving.
And then comes the catalyst, the spark. Lucas unconsciously starts humming. Why is it so important that this is unconscious and barely audible?
Because it shows the music is internalized. It's part of him. It's not a choice he's making to entertain himself. It's a rhythm deep inside him.
It's a low, vibrating melody.
Yeah.
Almost a secret.
Yes, and when Valeria hears it, her head snaps up. She has to know where it's from.
And the source is everything. It's not some pop song. It's not Jingle Bells.
No.
It is El Día que Me Quieras, The Day You Love Me, by Carlos Gardel.
I mean, if you had to pick one song to represent the soul and the history of Argentine tango, it's almost certainly going to be a Gardel piece.
He's the icon.
He is the voice of the golden age. And El Dia que me quieres is more than just a love song. It's the anthem of longing. It's full of this dramatic, profound emotion and historical weight.
So for Valeria, hearing that tune, this perfect relic from her past, from her passion, her whole life, hearing it break through the noise of that stupid Pan Dolce commercial must be like a shock to the system.
It's a shock of recognition. It's her world, the beautiful, intense world she helped create, breaking back into her prison.
And her shock is just so palpable in her demand. Where did you learn that? That is not music for boys who wear sneakers.
Yeah. She's trying to reconcile this ancient, profound knowledge with his modern, messy exterior.
And Lucas's answer is what provides that essential bridge.
It validates the entire encounter. He says he learned it from his grandfather, who plays the bandoneón every Christmas Eve.
And that one detail is so crucial. It ensures the legacy of the art form isn't dead. It's been preserved, it's been passed down, and it's just waiting to be activated.
Lucas isn't just humming an old tune. He is carrying an inheritance.
And now we have to talk about that instrument, the bandoneón. The story gives it this profound, almost living description. He calls it the soul of tango music.
The bandoneón is absolutely key. It looks a bit like an accordion, but mechanically it's very different. It's famously difficult to master.
How so?
It works on a push-pull system. So the same key often makes a different note depending on whether you're expanding or compressing the bellows.
Wow, so it's not intuitive at all.
Not at all. And that complexity is what gives it this intensely expressive, often very melancholic or mournful sound.
Yeah.
It takes so much physical effort to make it sing, or as Valeria puts it, to make it sigh.
I love her description of it. It's so poetic and perfect. The bandoneón breathes, it sighs like a lover.
She personifies it. She turns the music into an active, emotional entity in the room with them. And that just confirms that she understands this music not just intellectually, but on this deep, visceral level. She understands its soul.
So you have Lucas's inherited knowledge and you have Valeria's visceral memory, and that's what sets the stage for the real midnight tango.
Exactly. It proves that the language of the dance is still alive, still being passed down across the generations.
So the connection has been made. And Lucas, he acts with this almost ritualistic intent. He walks over to the radio.
And he silences the commercial. He silences the banal, stagnant present.
Yes, and then he cues up the classical tango from his phone. The physical room hasn't changed at all, but the reality inside it is about to completely transform.
And that sensory transformation is immediate. It just proves the power of memory over physical reality. The story says the air changes. That dominant institutional smell of floor wax, it just fades.
And it's replaced by the phantom scent of rosewater and sweat.
The phantom scent, I mean, that is Valeria's history returning. Rosewater for the elegance, right?
Yeah.
And sweat for the exertion and the passion of a crowded dance floor.
In that moment, her mind is no longer in the nursing home. It's in the heart of the milonga. She's been transported by sound and by smell.
It's memory providing a richer, more authentic reality than the present moment. It's incredible.
And then Lucas elevates the whole interaction. He adopts the old codes.
Right. He doesn't just casually offer her a hand.
No, he stands taller, he tilts his chin, extends his hand, and asks, "Mademoiselle."
He's consciously treating her with the respect that the queen of the dance floor deserves. This is recognition. It's not just care.
But then physical reality comes crashing back in. Valeria looks down at her useless, heavy legs, and we get that moment of just raw vulnerability.
The despair. Don't mock me, boy. I cannot stand.
Her body betrays her spirit.
And that leads us to the story's central, profound thesis. The one line that elevates this whole thing from a sweet anecdote into, I don't know, a spiritual manifesto.
Lucas's reply.
Lucas's reply. You don't need to stand to dance tango. Tango is not in the feet. It is in the chest.
Wow.
Right.
That statement is a total liberation narrative. It declares that the essence of art, the passion, the communication, the spirit, it just transcends the physical container.
If the rhythm, if the feeling is in your chest, then your soul can dance no matter what your feet can do.
It's just an incredibly powerful moment. Lucas doesn't offer her pity. He doesn't offer a compromise. He offers a solution that respects her artistry.
And he initiates the abrazo.
The abrazo, the embrace. And we should probably detail the meaning of this. In tango, it is not just a hug.
Not at all. The abrazo is the closed frame It is the fundamental communication system of the dance.
It's a conversation.
It is. And by closing that space between them until their foreheads almost touch, Lucas establishes this immediate intimacy and mutual respect. It's an emotional contract.
And it dictates the flow of the entire dance.
It requires vulnerability and trust. And for Valeria, who's been so physically isolated and minimized, this intimate connection is the restoration of her full self.
And the mechanics of their dance, given her condition, are just fascinatingly detailed. He doesn't move her chair.
No, he moves around her, he guides her upper body, swaying her gently in sync with the music, and he executes deliberate ochos.
Ochos, which means eights.
Right. In a traditional tango, these are figure-8 movements that involve precise pivots and turns of the feet. They form the basic geometry of the dance.
But since she can't move her feet,
he executes the movement around her. He makes her stationary body the pivot point. She becomes the center of this dynamic universe. He's maintaining the integrity of the dance form, but he's adapting it to the constraint.
And Valeria's participation is so essential. She is not passive in this.
Not at all. She closes her eyes, she feels his lead, and she presses her hand against his palm, offering resistance, creating the tension that made the dance alive.
Tango lives on that tension.
On that communication. She is still leading in her own way. She's maintaining her mastery by providing that necessary counterpoint.
And for 3 minutes, the constraints of the Casa de los Abuelos, they disappear.
She achieves transcendence. She feels the ghost of the pivot, the snap of the head turn. Her passion is transmitted from his hand to hers, bypassing her broken body completely.
The very thing that was the source of all her pain, her body, is just bypassed entirely by the spirit of the dance.
And Lucas recognizes her mastery. He treats her with the intensity of a partner, not a nurse, and crucially, not as fragile glass.
He respects her power. He demands her focus.
That recognition is the true climax of the story. It's the moment she is fully restored to her identity, seeing herself reflected in the eyes of the boy leading her.
And the rescuffle end of the dance just confirms how sacred that moment was.
Yeah, when the song ends, he holds the final pose, he steps back, and he gives this sharp, respectful inclination of his head, a dancer's bow.
The highest form of respect in the milonga.
Absolutely.
And her reaction is so understated, which I think makes it all the more powerful. Her heart is racing. There's a single tear tracing a path through the powder on her cheek. It's a rush of life, of recognition, of passion.
And her final line of praise is just perfect. It bridges that generational gap completely. You lead well for a boy in sneakers.
It's incredible. It acknowledges his skill and his respect, despite his modern clothes. It's an embrace of the present that honors the past.
And then the spell breaks. Lucas goes back to being the 20-year-old orderly. But for Valeria, the internal reality has changed.
She turns to the window. The heat, the city, her age, all the external realities are the same. But inside her chest, the music was still playing.
She taps a rhythm on her armrest, the rhythm that outlives the body.
And that tapping rhythm that leads us right into the final reflection of the story, the prayer for the fire that remains. This is where this story really moves from this specific, beautiful anecdote to a much more profound, universal meaning about memory and resilience and how we value aging.
Yeah, this is the spiritual core of the story, I think. It reflects on that rhythm that outlives the body, this idea that our spirit holds on to the memory of movement and passion even when our muscles fail.
The heart doesn't just beat for survival.
No, it beats for passion, for art, for the memory of a night. I mean, what a beautiful definition of human existence, that we're fueled by memory and emotion, not just by biology.
And the story delivers a really searing critique of how our society views its elders. It observes that we worship the new, the strong, the straight spine.
We do. We're so quick to look at the exterior, at the constraints, the wheelchair, the wrinkles, and just assume that the story is over, that the fire has gone out.
And the most stinging part of that critique for me is the metaphor of the elderly as history books on a shelf.
Oh, that is such a powerful image. We dust them, we preserve them, we keep them safe, but we do not open them.
We provide the physical care, the dusting, the preservation, but we deny them the true form of life, which is recognition and engagement. We keep them alive, but we refuse to read their stories.
And that failure to open the book, to engage with the master who's right there in front of us, it severely limits their present reality. We're failing to see the queen of the dance floor inside the patient.
It raises that question for all of us, for you listening. When we dismiss the past like that, are we robbing the elderly of their present?
Yes. The prayer asks for the vision to see the dancer inside the patient. It's a reminder that these fundamental human desires, the need to be held, to be led, to be recognized, they don't just wither away because the body gets frail.
The spirit still has its appetite for passion and connection.
It's a call for a kind of radical human grace and recognition, to see past the clinical chart to the person.
And placing this profound act of connection on Christmas Eve, it just adds this beautiful layer of spiritual meaning that goes way beyond any specific faith, I think.
I agree. Christmas is fundamentally about selfless giving and recognition, and here, the most profound act of selfless giving is Lucas offering that abrazo and that bow.
The contrast is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
The sterile commercial setting with the limp tinsel and loud ads is just shattered by this sacred, intimate moment created by their embrace.
And the message isn't about charity. It's about acknowledging a mutual humanity. The true selfless giving of the holidays is the grace to offer the hand of a partner, not just the hand of a caregiver checking a pulse.
For 3 minutes, Lucas gave Valeria her identity back. And that is a gift that outweighs any commercial present you could ever buy.
It's about honoring the dignity of a spirit that refuses to sit still. The ultimate lesson is that the flame of dignity, that internal music, it doesn't stop. It plays on in the blood and in the memory.
And all it took was one person who was willing to listen, willing to change the station, both literally and metaphorically.
Lucas set aside the mop, the symbol of the sterile present, and he took up the frame of the dance. And in doing that, he turned the linoleum of a nursing home into the finest wood of a ballroom.
Proving that human connection and art are the most powerful forces we have against stagnation and aging.
The story ends with her still tapping that rhythm on the armrest. The external world is unchanged, but the internal music just keeps going.
And that final line from the prayer is just stunning. When we hold the past in our arms, we are not holding a burden, we are holding a flame.
That flame is the enduring spirit. It's the passion that will not be extinguished. And it's a powerful call to action for all of us, to recognize those masters who are sitting quietly in our midst, just disguised by the passage of time.
That's a beautiful way to put it. This deep dive really reinforces the power of that one single moment of genuine connection. How Lucas's knowledge, and more importantly his respect, turned a clinical room into a ballroom and restored Valeria's true self.
And it was such a simple action, really, playing a song, offering a bow, but the impact was just tremendous.
It really leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? About the masters who are sitting in our midst, disguised as the frail.
It does. It should encourage all of us to, change the station in our own lives, to listen for the rhythm that outlives the body and the people around us. It makes you wonder, who is the disguised master sitting in your midst right now?
We hope you related to this story. If these moments of quiet connection and hope resonated with you, we're thrilled to tell you that the full collection, When the Bells Don't Ring by Danny Ballin, is now available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold. Danny wrote this book to bring a little light to the quieter, sometimes harder moments of the season. It makes for a truly meaningful Christmas gift for anyone who loves literary fiction and heartwarming tales. You can find the link to buy or gift a copy right now in the description. Thank you for listening and for reading. We'll see you in the next episode. Never stop learning and hoping with English Plus Podcast.